So when a professor enters the room or gets on the stage with a lot of books, the students always groan. Yesterday, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, a professor at MIT, Anna Friebel. And I asked Anna, when you're discussing such a difficult subject, a diverse subject, what advice would you give to calm your nerves? And she said to me, learn to breathe and wear high heels. So obviously, I'm not going to wear the high heels, but Anya's done that very well. And then I asked Pi. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Pi, pi.ai, owned by Inflection Point. And Pi is very interactive. It laughed and it said, haha, I'm a machine with a brain, but no body and no nervous system, so you're on your own. So thank you, Pi. So what I want to talk about today is the multi-trillion. I'm not going to show you any AI, unfortunately. I like to work with AI. I like to program with AI, and I like to tinker. And the more you show AI and its benefits, the more people gasp, especially where we are today with this exponential growth. Do I need to turn on? Okay, so today what I hope is that to inspire you a little bit, I want to dive deep into generative AI development. And I would recommend that all of you become as AI literate as possible if you're not already. But really, you know, my message is learn as much as you can about AI. It's essential for the future. I would like you to think carefully about the influence the 3Cs policymakers, businesses, and academia. You know, we heard from Beata with 3W, and we need some way to come together, and hopefully Lars later will mention some of that. We have a massive, massive brain drain from the region, and that's very, very unfortunate. A lot of young people, quality people, exceptional people, educated here in the region, and then they go off to, often to the US or to the UK. I've lived in the US on and off for 10 years, and I can tell you it's not, the grass is not as green. I much prefer life here. So my third message is that be prepared. It's a rapid acceleration, a magnitude of growth, more significant than any. I'm in my 60th year now, and it's more significant than anything I've seen. So we had the history lesson, and this is just a really quick walk through. In 1886, only 137 years ago, Benz patented the automobile. 137 years ago. Then we had another car come in 1898 in the Czech Republic. I'm showing there the history of the 3Cs region with the automobile. And then, well, apart from Germany at the start, but then 1900, only 1,700 Benz had been sold. And in 1908, the Model T Ford came. Henry Ford, with his decision to increase salaries and help his employees to buy the cars. So by 1930, 59% of adult Americans owned a car. 1930, you know. If you look at that growth, we all now have cars. And it's part of our natural technology. It's changed how we do business. It's changed how we travel in quite a short space of time. So it is less than 100 years that we've got these new infrastructures. And AI is accelerating that technology growth significantly. So what is AI? In, I think it was 2016, myself and Professor Monet, we researched very carefully. We asked somewhere in the order of 2,000 AI scientists worldwide, what is AI? Please define AI. And they couldn't agree on the concept of what is AI. But what was clear for Professor Monet and I was that a lot of these well-meaning professors and researchers were focused on building a machine that goes back to the days of Turing, but then supersedes that. In my view, I said to Dagmar at the time, they're playing God. They want to build something that far surpasses human intelligence. So the definition that they came up with was, around those words, exceeds human intelligence, so a super intelligent being. Our own definition is machine intelligence is the ability of an AI system to provide rational, unbiased guidance and service to humans. So as we humans can make optimal decisions, that would be a nice position to start from. That came 9th on the list out of about, we put, I think it was 72 definitions of human intelligence and machine intelligence. And a lot of the senior AI researchers in the world didn't like this. They said, no, we're focused on building superintelligence. So it was rather contentious. This paper was extremely well cited worldwide afterwards, which is what us professors like. So a little history lesson about the 3 Cs. I'm focusing today on the 3 Cs and their involvement in generating AI. So it goes back to John von Neumann. Von Neumann was a professor. He was the 3rd professor recruited at the Pennsylvania Institute. I think Einstein was the 2nd, and von Neumann 3rd. He came out of Hungary. And in the 1940s, early 40s, he had conversations with Alan Turing about can machines think. Turing, of course, went on to write his paper later, can machines think? But von Neumann, on the other hand, went about building the machine. And he worked closely with IBM on very high salaries at that time. And so he is probably perceived as the founder of AI as we know it today. So again, in my view, that's something that this region, the 3 Cs region, has got something to its credit. Now, one of his co-workers was Stanisław Ulam from Poland, and Ulam pioneered, did I lose it? No. Pioneered computing with von Neumann, collaborated together on cellular automata, which is a wonderful little game, if you like, but it was really helping number crunching. So it helped machines to do a lot of arithmetic. And then they also came up with the Monte Carlo method, which is something AI developers have used consequently since the 1940s, since Ulam and von Neumann created that. So that's quite significant. The region, they were working in the United States, but nevertheless, the region was foundational in the formation of AI. So where are we now? The actual term artificial intelligence was created by John McCarthy and others in 1956 at a workshop in Dartmouth. I'll skim past this because the history of AI, there was what they called the winter of AI, where the funds stopped. People said, we're not getting anywhere, it's not developing, let's put a hold on this. And part of that was down to the compute, the actual compute that was available at that time. Then some researchers at the University of Toronto and the University of New York University, Jeff Hinton, Joshua Bengio, and Jan LeCun, created this technology called deep learning in the mid-1990s, late 1990s, but it didn't really get anywhere until a little bit later in the early 2000s, 2008, 2010. At that time, I was quite fortunate. I had started working for a company called Palantir Technology. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Palantir. Thankfully, I wasn't on the side of the CIA and NATO. I was on the financial banking side of the systems. Today, Palantir is used by most of the major banks. It used machine learning and deep learning and reinforcement learning. I had a team, 52% of the people came, 110 people in the team, and 52% came from this region. So we fast forward to what's happened. I can't emphasize the exceptional growth since 2010 and the growth of people from this region that have played in that. I just want to show you. So in 2012, there was a breakthrough by Alex, I can never say it, Krzyzewski, who's from Ukraine, by Ilya Sutskever from Russia and Israel, and Jeff Hinton at the University of Toronto. That was a significant change in can a machine identify images? And it did. And they exceeded by a large majority the errors in previous versions. Ilya, for a time, worked for me as an intern, fascinating genius. And anyway, with ImageNet, they were acquired. Let's put this into perspective. The idea that they had, and these three people, Google acquired their idea and their skills for $44 million and asked them to move to San Francisco, which they did at 2010, 12, 2013. So a lot of money exchanging hands for three people with an idea. Then after that, Ilya and Oriol Viñales. Oriol is Spanish. He works for Google DeepMind now. He's rather influential in a lot of the latest developments in AI. But a young chap called Wojtek Zaremba, who came from University of Warsaw, and Ilya, they worked on, so Wojtek worked on Ilya and Alex's AlexNet for Google as an intern, and he was asked to replicate it. He replicated it and improved it, and Google offered him a significant amount of money to join them, which he did. He took after doing his PhD, so they worked together considerably, and at that stage, the level of support from Polish and 3Cs developers in this early part of deep learning at Google DeepMind, and Google generally was the dominant force at this time, but they employed a lot of people from this region. So 20% of the research papers that are central to the foundation of what we now know as generative AI came from this region. Developers and researchers from this region were involved in 20% of that development. That's a significant percentage, you know, especially when we look at the region and what do we benefit from it. So I'd like you to keep that in mind. Mustafa Suleyman is somebody that is getting a lot of news and attention right now, and I'll talk a little bit more about him later, but one of the books I brought here is to strongly recommend that you read this book. It's called The Coming Wave. And I have 2 copies. It came out 1 week ago, and this is now my second read. It's phenomenal because he was there in amongst this change from 2010 until the present day. So he outlines what AI can do. There are things it can do that you and I don't even see yet. And when we do see it, you know, we're blown away quite often. So Mustafa outlines that in there. So keep in mind, 20% of people, researchers in the early phase of AI came from this region. So then fast forward to 2017. This was a landmark paper. It's a small paper, 11 pages, with some code that Google put out called Attention is All You Need. This is the cusp of generative AI. So I'll make a prediction today. And prediction is not normally a good thing, but I predict that AI, or the developers behind AI, will win the Nobel Prize in medicine as a result of this paper. It's quite bold to say that, Nobel Prize, really? That's for people. It will be the developers behind the Google DeepMind system that is based upon attention is all you need. So why I highlight that, Jakub Uszkoret was working at the University of Wrocław when just before he released this paper. I was one of the instrumental people in this paper. And again, it's 8 people in the region had such an impact on this paper. And that's what I really want to emphasize. We have incredibly smart people, but the benefits are flowing outside of the region. So what happened next? After Attention is All You Need in 2017, there was explosive interest from different research teams at Facebook, so the big tech companies, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, and OpenAI, which was a company that was founded in 2015 by 9 people, one of whom was Wojtek Zaremba, managed to use Attention is All You Need and gave it zillions of data. I mean, literally, the number of zeros is mind-boggling when you see the data that has been fed into these generative AI systems. So, that picture there gives you an idea of how much information we can contain as humans, but how much can a machine contain is, it's quite, the amount of knowledge is just staggering. So in February 20, Wojtek made a bold statement. During our lifetime, several events will change the world. We'll fly to Mars, we'll cure cancer, and build artificial general intelligence. You can watch these events unfold, or you can participate in them and help shape them. That's crucial. That's one of the messages that I started with at this beginning. The more you get involved now, the better it will be. You'll be wiser, you'll build that AI literacy, which is crucial. So cure cancer, that's a rather bold statement, but in 2020, DeepMind, with researchers from this region, had released AlphaFold. And I don't know if you know the story behind AlphaGo. So AlphaGo is quite a success. It beat the world Go champion, which is considered quite a difficult game to win. AlphaGo was trained on a lot of human data, so it picked up the human knowledge. But after AlphaGo, they did AlphaZero, and AlphaZero was trained on no data. It used Attention is All You Need as a system, as a tool, and it built its own knowledge base, and it thrashed AlphaGo. So, okay, that's a generative machine. It's focused on one area of Go, the game of Go. But then DeepMind released MuZero. And MuZero went on again without any training, just these are the rules. It went on to thrash all machines that had come before it and all humans in Go, chess, Atari games, and others. It's quite phenomenal. From that, the team at DeepMind built, what's it called now? There's so many moos and zeros, and AlphaFold. And AlphaFold is potentially one of those machines that can cure cancer. This week, 2 days ago, they won a major scientific prize in medicine. The 2 lead researchers, Demis Hassibis, and I don't remember the other one. And so it's the Lazark Prize, I think it's Lazark, which is often predicted as a predeterminate towards winning the Nobel Prize in medicine. So it's quite significant. Also this week, DeepMind, with researchers from this region, released a new system which is focused on identifying mutations in genes. So again, I think that will be something that we will, in the near future, see is quite significant step in this landmark of changes that AI is going to deliver for us. And one point on those mutations in the genes, the human researchers had identified 0.1% of mutations, 0.1%. This new system from DeepMind has identified 89%, 71 million. Astonishing. It's a staggering discovery. So what Demis Hassibis says is that there are over 1 million scientific researchers working on those solutions now, AlphaFold and alpha gene mutation fix, to help us fix a lot of diseases and get personalized medication, etc. So it's quite significant steps. Just since that paper in 2017, attention is all you need. So staying with the region, and bear in mind this is all about the people in this region, the GPT-4, I don't know if has anybody really used GPT-4 here? Yeah, so 10%, 15, 20% maybe? GPT-4 is phenomenal, phenomenal. When you compare GPT 3.5 with GPT-4, it's a magnitude of difference. It's absolutely wonderful, the results that you can get. And then Google Bard, which this week released an update with the integration into the Google Workstation tools. I mean, on a daily basis, I get astonished at some of the things that I can do as a result of these new solutions. So Jakub Paczocki, again, sorry about the pronunciation. Jakub came from University of Warsaw. He, and amongst a lot of these people from the region that have gone on to do outstanding things in AI, were also high on the Math Olympiad winning. I think Jakub was a gold medalist in the Math Olympiad, so it was quite significant. And as I say, a large number. One of the courses I teach at university is called Statistics and Mathematics for Artificial Intelligence. And I'm often asked, why do you need statistics and mathematics for artificial intelligence? Well, it's a way of thinking, ultimately. And that's the way the computer scientists have worked so far, getting this way of thinking, a mathematical way of thinking. But I will come back to that because I am curious if we're going to need programmers in the future. So, 3 Cs. In May, Sam Altman and Wojtek Zaremba were at the University of Warsaw. It was eclectic energy in the room. And they were asked how many people from Poland, they focused on Poland, how many people from Poland work at OpenAI? And Sam said 20% of the first 50 people came from Poland alone, 20% working in the US from Poland. And then if you extrapolate that further to the number of people from the region, from the 3 Cs region, it's 30% of the initial 100 employees, and over 40% from the CE region, but 30% from 3 Cs. That's staggering. It's a brain drain on an enormous scale, and you know the benefit is not staying here, unfortunately. I give you now another example of. I just realized the clock is ticking down. I thought it was going up. Is Adam Pashk here? No, no. So Adam is a young man, 31, 32, again, out of University of Warsaw, and I think he went to Polytechnic here for his PhD. And he was the lead author of PyTorch. When I do any programming today, I'm using PyTorch in addition to Copilot from OpenAI and Microsoft. So PyTorch, 60% of programming in the academic scientific world 60% of programmers use PyTorch. So you can delve into the depths of the coding that takes place, and it's a tool that was built here in this region. So as well as Adam, there were a couple of other on the list that built that from this region. So we can go on. There is a report that will be available to download, I think, from GenFree website. Very detailed 60-page report showing the information that is here, and more people. I've touched on the number of people that have been involved in AI since 2010. This major turnaround. Here we have Drago Angelov from Bulgaria, and has anybody been in a self-driving taxi? No, we don't have them here yet. But if you go to San Francisco or China or Dubai, you call a Waymo. And it's really quite good. Last night I was in a taxi and the guy was speaking politics. I didn't want to speak politics, the taxi driver. I want to be on my own. I'm going home. Fabulous invention. And we will see self-driving cars on the streets. I mean, now we have Tesla. I don't know if Thomas is here from University of Warsaw. No, but Thomas drives a Tesla. Tesla has semi-automation in there. We will see them in the next few years. So Judge, you need to get rid of your car. This is a staggering statistic. 31% of the most cited AI research papers since 2010 include a scientist from the 3C regions. 31%, absolutely astonishing number. Again, I can't emphasize this number of people here that have contributed to this. Now, why? Why are they leaving? So what Ilya said, you can check with the books of OpenAI. They're paying $1.9 million a year in 2016. Adam Pashk, that I mentioned earlier, he didn't take the dollars and run. He stayed here in Warsaw. Remarkable. I mean, he's working for Google Brain now, so he's working for a US company, but Adam declined a massive offer from Facebook to move to San Francisco. And then he worked for NVIDIA and, as I say now, Google DeepMind, Google Brain. So Wojtek, they're often $4 or $5 million. Those numbers are unreal, and it makes us think, how do we keep that talent here when those numbers are being thrown at them over there? So AI opportunity, PwC sized the market at 15.7 million, which is trillion, sorry, 15.7 trillion. I'm working with a very large bank in Poland currently on implementing AI within your account. So you'll be able to interact with the account, and you can ask it, how much did I spend at Green Coffee or at Starbucks last month, and it will communicate that to you in a very fast way. So we will see these numbers start to come out in the productivity gains and also with investments, and hopefully Lars will give us some answers to that. So sadly, Goldman Sachs predicts that 25% of current work tasks could be automated. This is the contentious side of AI. What will happen with jobs? And it's something I'm very concerned about. One of the books I have here talks about basic income guarantee. I hate that idea, hate it. But I think it's going to come to that, unfortunately. So private investments in the United States, private investments, 47 billion. Where's the region on there? I guess in the report that you can download, you'll be able to see 20 charts with this data, so I'll whiz through them. In our region, what are we investing? Apart from in the skills, we're not putting the money back into developing the companies. So 350 million was million, not the billions that are going in. This week alone, numbers are staggering that have been invested into AI in the US. Now, if we just look at that and that total amount and then see what Amazon is investing in West Virginia alone, $35 billion in its data centers. 35 billion, and we invest 350 million. It just doesn't compute. So AI has surpassed humans on a number of tasks, and at the rate which humans are being surpassed at, new tasks is increasing. So we will get to a level of superintelligence, which makes sense, unfortunately. It's beating us in creative elements. It's beating us in coding. When I do coding today, I'm 40% more productive. You know, if you're a programmer and you're not using AI, you get left behind. So my advice is, learn as much as you can and start using AI in your systems. There's a quick snapshot of some of the photos. The quality this week, OpenAI released DALL-E 3 to GPT-4 users, which will be scaled out during this month. This is different systems. I chose 4 or 5 different systems, but if you just see the quality of that, purely AI, based upon key prompts. So that's the human part. It's you that asks it to do something. Last year, I spent 30,000 euros building a website. Today, I can do it with AI for $500. So the creativity aspects is quite significant. Sorry, my time's up. So AI solutions for overall organizations. This is on company calls during their stock market review. 94%, 99%, 1% saying not important. I mean, that company will not survive, unfortunately. Again, these slides are all in the report, so download them. This just shows decreases and it increases. Productivity gains are substantial. Most Americans believe AI will decrease the number of jobs in the US, and of course, what I say when I speak with the Parliament here, with the government here, is that we have 600,000 people in the call centers. Their jobs are, definitely questionable, without any doubt. So what can you do? Well, everybody can learn. And this is what I really believe we should all be using AI today to. Harvard this week just announced that now they allow their students to use AI. If the university that you attend is not allowing the students to use AI, that university will not be producing the best people for the workforce of the future. And that is across all domains, be it English through to history and psychology and obviously mathematics and programming, etc. So teach a machine to fish, and it will feed itself for its lifetime. So thank you. Do we have time?
Sir,
thank you so much.
Sir, thank you very much for this very interesting lecture. And I have to say, AI, to me, is scary as much as it is exciting. However, we fear the unknown, so perhaps we just have to learn more about it. And thank you very much for your very interesting speech.
Yeah.
I want to jump in on this briefly, because I think you shared with this hall here and the audience incredible statistics which are so vital now about the talent that's here of people who worked with AI in those foundational years. I know we were talking about von Neumann, et cetera, but also recent examples of that. But I think at the same time, I'm curious now, looking at the future, there is obviously talent here. What is the biggest challenge in your mind? I mean, we saw the dollar amounts there. Is it a question of money? Because there's so much talent and I think potential here. What is needed in your mind? Because you said the grass isn't always greener in the US. What can we bring those people back or foster?
Drug-idle cities over there, No, finance always plays a role, obviously. So people will, if you're dangling $1 million or $2 million, that's a lot of money, 10 million Swatis. So people will be looking at that, but they also look at the challenges and the other people that they're working with. So can I surround myself with highly skilled people? And that's why, as a call to arms, as it were, we in the 3 Cs, if we can get those 13 countries collaborating together in an AI hub, that will generate this type of cross-cultural work that the people. So if you look at Wojtek Zaremba's website, he said, it's because of the people that I work with. And he turned down 3 times the salary. So.
And I think one of our guests has already the microphone.
We can't hear you yet, so we're just waiting for the microphone to come on.
Now you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. My name is Larissa, and I want to ask you if you think the AI can help us in future to prevent the events like rapes, human trafficking, and worse.
Well, that's very not an obvious question. Can AI? So, yeah, I mean, there's different sides of it. There's the fake AI that can, communicate with you in a voice that could be mine, and you might be seduced by that, or it can be. Could it impact? It's a very good question. So, Tesla are working on these robots, and other companies. Maybe we have robot police. Terrible idea of the Orwellian state that we heard about earlier. But, if we've got more police, more surveillance cameras, things like that on the street. Singapore does quite well with this. They have strict laws. They whip you, and it's terrible. But they have a solution. Yeah, that's a very good question.
I think it's part of the ethics there. And we're pressed for time, so please keep your questions brief over on this side here.
Gentleman over there.
We're still waiting for the microphone.
Okay. Sorry. I'm Louis Viranga from the Baltic Defense College in Estonia, and I appreciated your presentation because it focused on the very positive aspects of AI, but in my line of work, we tend to focus on the negatives. And I know that this is probably a whole other presentation, but I was wondering if you could say a couple of words about the deepfake technology and what could be done to stop what MODs and different security apparatuses could do to prepare for the types of hybrid threats that deepfake videos and images could inflict on populations. Thank you.
Yeah, so obviously this is a key question that's being investigated currently, and they need strong guardrails around this technology. So currently a lot of the technology is in the big servers, so Microsoft and OpenAI and Google, they have and IBM, they have an element of oversight. They need better policing of what is being done. So Ma, in the 1960s, he wrote a wonderful paper on the what and why of technology, and that what is very important, and why. So I think AI developers, they're not malicious. It's technology is not the adversary; it's us, the humans, and so we've got to have the police guardrails in place to protect that. I did this week with my voice. Have you seen the video where you can record yourself in English and then it will translate to 28 or 40 voices? Fluent Polish in my voice, almost my voice. So that's disturbing, and only guardrails of policing by the tech companies can fix that, I think.
Well, that's a big, I think, as you said, another presentation needed. We see one hand over here, the lady here, yes, with the glasses, if we can just get the next question over here.
Thank you so much. My name is Stella, and I wanted to ask with regards to research. I did see you encouraging, the use of AI, especially within, university context. And I wanted to ask, how do you, if you can elaborate on, the ethical and maybe originality challenges, especially within research, because that's really important when you want to talk about research in general.
Yes, absolutely. Well, to some extent, you can see the language currently. They allege, and then some of the professors might know if there are any tools today to check AI plagiarism. Some silly mistakes have been made where people have actually, you can see the OpenAI content within the research papers that are submitted. So it's being addressed, certainly in terms of deepfake videos and deepfake images where they're putting a footnote in it, as it were. And as this Google Bard that came out this week, it links strongly to the internet. GPT-4 does too, but the citations that AI is able to now provide, it's human-like. So we need a system in place to prevent that. Otherwise, well, in my view, you're cheating yourself if you've had something in that has been created by AI, but many students will because of time, etc. So again, it's not an obvious answer today. I cannot tell totally. I have an inclination, and then I'll ask the student, was it AI? Invariably it was.
So I see many more hands here. I think we've got time for maybe one more last brief question here. The gentleman there with the glasses. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Maciej. I've got a question. Do you think the AI can negatively interfere with the income gap in the future? Because many of countries ban the technology, especially the ChatGPT in the school. So I always saying it's possible that the AI will not take the jobs. The jobs will take by humans who use the AI. And when they just ban it, then possibly the income gap can be negatively interfere.
Yeah, that's the ideal scenario for sure. You know, that we stay in the loop, we keep the human in the loop. But well, we've given control of so much of this to American companies, and you know they're stock listed. I worked for Palantir that became stock listed, and it's driven by profit. So if there's people working in call centers in Poland, IBM doesn't care. 10,000 people working here from IBM. They're stock listed in the US. If they need to look for reductions, our region is one that's going to take that impact. So I think schools, you must use AI in school. You know, we must teach AI literacy at an urgent level, really. With respect to jobs, it's not obvious. I did a paper that showed again 1.2 million jobs with robotics in the car factory. AI is different because it's a knowledge worker job. So there will be a lag, there will be people laid off, and there'll be a lag before we start to bring in new jobs and new skills, sadly.
So it looks like the same thing like what is in 19th century in UK with embroidery, when the mechanical things just happened and the people just start burning them because they have to lose their jobs.
Yes. Yeah. There's also wages.
There's also, there's so many more things. I know there's many more hands here. Thank you for the questions. You'll get another opportunity, but we have many more things in deep tech coming up. So thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much,
so much.
sir.
Really appreciate that. Really appreciate that.